absolutely stoked. We have an incredible night tonight. It is 9 at night and it is Monday night. It's all about the speech. Now, throughout the entire weekday nights, 9 at night provides you a different topic every night for 1 hour of incredible people making a difference. So tonight, it's all about this speech. We have an incredible guest. Wait till you hear who she is and what she does. That's exciting. But first, I want to introduce my co-host. And my co-host is absolutely just about the best you can find out there. He's a coach, and he is a speech coach. And you know what this is all about is changing the world one person at a time, but one speech at a time. And that's why we combine it all together. So with that, Shawn Walker has done many and wears many hats. If you notice on his hat, it's a moment with Shawn. He really means it. He's going to be doing something to help you. But right now, let's bring him on, Shawn Walker.
Well, thank you, Christine. Thank you for having me. And as we do every Monday night, we bring energy, we bring passion, and we bring guests. And I'm excited to see our guest tonight and hear what she has to say. But it is a beautiful, beautiful Monday evening here in sunny South Florida. I am having an amazing time, and I'm excited about being here.
Oh, I am too. And what I'm going to do is we first kick off with some of the tips. You have some amazing tips that you're going to share today. And so just with that, let's go ahead and get started. Coach Shawn.
Yes, and I just want to open up with my tips for the day, and this is for new speakers. I remember 12 years ago when I first started this beautiful journey as a motivational speaker and coach. And one of the things that I noticed about myself, it was 3 things that I'm going to talk about in particular today. And the first one is the anxiety. New speakers get this anxiety, this nervousness that comes over them before they're able to step up and speak. Well, let me just talk to you for a second, to you new bees that are in this speaking arena. That nervousness actually compels you. It gives you energy. It gives you drive to actually come on the stage and do what you do. It's your confidence. It's your courage. It's your friend, most importantly. So one thing I want you to do is learn to manage that anxiety. That anxiety is your friend. Don't run away from it. Don't shy away from it. Run to it, because this is how you will get that breakthrough of coming onto the stage. Another thing I want to talk about, and I've observed in newbies and even in myself when I was a newbie, was the hand placements, where we place our hands. Sometimes we place our hands in front. We call that the fig leaf. Sometimes we do this. This is called the ring finger. Sometimes we even put our hands behind our back, like we're being arrested. These are things that you don't want to do. You want to simply, when you take that stage and you're standing up there, you want to raise your hands and you want to slightly just put your hands to your side. Get calm so you can breathe. Kind of like me right now. I'm partied up. I'm ready to speak. I'm ready to go. If I have to move my hands are in position to move. You don't want to just rock backwards and forth. This is for the Zoom world. Some people are over here. Some people are over there. We don't want that. We want you right center where we can see you, just like I am right now. And we also want to have you make eye contact. Eye contact gives you instant credibility. That's right. When you're able to look at someone in the eye, use your hand gestures, and also manage your anxiety, this gives you credibility. With that being said, to you newbie speakers, we want to see you use some of those tips, and I guarantee you, you continue to practice those, you will develop the self-confidence that you need to become a great speaker as well. Thank you, Christine.
Excellent. We just had a moment with Shawn, and for those newbies, I think it's for those who haven't spoken for a while. I heard that speakers still have anxiety, even if it's years with that. Well, I wanted to find some tips to kind of complement to what you were talking about, and I found some. So you were talking about what to do if you're new and inexperienced. So I'm going to talk about a few tips what to do when you make a mistake in a presentation while you're doing it. I thought that would go hand in hand. And as you know, when you have your jitters and stuff, everything can leave your head. I think everybody has experienced that. So you're just right at the beginning. You belong. Okay. So here we have just a few of them. One is when you make a mistake, just take a breath. Take a breath, gives you time, and you can calm your nerves. Pause for as long as you need to, and resist that urge to quickly start talking again. Begin when you know what you're going to say. It makes sense. And this stops you from making more panicked mistakes or from garbling your words in a pause that can make you look thoughtful and in control. That's what you want to do. And then, second, don't apologize. Apologizing can reduce your credibility and make you feel embarrassed. Making a mistake when you're giving a presentation isn't going to ruin anyone's day, and you'll really be just apologizing to yourself. You're a professional, okay? So you can acknowledge the mistake and be sure to correct yourself, but do so and move on. You can do it in humor. It's great to laugh at yourself. Get focused, take your breath, and move on. Thirdly, own that mistake. By taking responsibility for a mistake, you appear confident. Tripping up on a word or getting a phrase back to front can be quickly solved by a correction. But any informational mistake should always be corrected. I should say X instead of Y, or a correction along those lines is effective, and it isn't apologizing. Remember, you're the pro up there. Lastly, talk to the audience. It's okay to talk to the audience, especially if you've forgotten what you just said. Asking the audience what you were saying or the name of something you've forgotten can almost often seem planned, like you did it on purpose. What did I just say? Anybody get it? Yeah, that'll get you back on track. It's often a good idea to talk to the audience during your presentation anyway, and doing so can make this trip absolutely seamless. Now, no matter what your mistake or how you handle it, remain positive. Now, I used to, in my younger years, many years ago, be in the music industry. If I made a mistake on stage, I would just smile and I would keep on playing if I forgot words, and people thought it was part of it. One time I sang the national anthem and I forgot the words, but I just held still. I was not in front of the track. I was actually in the upstairs in the announcer's booth. Nobody was in there but me, and I did not say a word. I forgot the words, and somebody opened the door real quick and whispered the words, and then I kept on singing right where I left off. Everybody buzzed about the electricity shortage that was happening. They go, wow, I can't believe it. The timing, but you did it wonderfully. That's showbiz. With that, I'm going to get back to you, Shawn, because I'll tell you what, it's time we introduce our guests, don't you think?
Yes, and I just want to piggyback off of that. Remember, we are not performers. We are presenters, and we present very well. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your follow through with that. I'm so excited to get started with our guest for today. Absolutely excited. But I'm going to ask you, are you ready to be a speaker? To do that, you just contact 9ATNIGHT.com, go to contact page and say, I'm ready to speak. And let's go ahead and do that. Right now, we're going to introduce, she is a professional, more than you can imagine. And I'll tell you about this lady. Her name is CeCe Espuit, and she's a woman. She wears many hats. She's a former U.S. Marine. She's an author. She's a 2 times TEDx speaker. Okay, I feel like a drum roll should be happening. And 3 times Distinguished Toastmaster. Above all else, she is a woman centered on 3 core values. That's God, family, and education. Now, age doesn't mean anything. She's attending college and she is studying industrial organizational psychology with an emphasis on change management and personal development. Now, here's something that happens when she takes the stage as a speaker. Her passion for her work shows so very much. She speaks about imposter syndrome, storytelling, and second chances. Topics that may not seem to be related, but all deal with the stories that we tell ourselves and our beliefs. With humor and candor, she draws from her own experiences and delivers messages of hope and resilience. So with that, we're going to turn the stage over to our friend CeCe. Welcome, CeCe.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. What an introduction. My goodness, my goodness. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me, guys.
We are glad you're here. Well, this floor is yours.
Wow. You know, with an introduction like that, I just want to know, have you ever felt like you're not good enough or smart enough or talented or qualified to be doing what you're doing? Anybody? Can you shake your head if you've ever felt like that? Oh, okay, good. I thought I was like the only one. Because there's so many times when I will walk into a room, and especially if somebody has read a bio like the one Christine just read for me, and Christine, your check is in the mail. So thank you for that great intro. But you walk into a room and immediately you start to feel insecure or inadequate, and you feel like maybe somebody's going to jump out at you and say, fake, fake, you don't belong here. Yeah, I get that feeling all the time, and my heart will start to race. So what that actually is, that is imposter syndrome. It's when you don't feel like you're adequate enough to be where you are or doing what you're doing. And this can show up in a number of different places. So usually it shows up in the workplace or in a professional setting. But for me, it shows up in my family. Oh, yes. You're not going to believe this, but I cannot cook. Like, if I had to cook breakfast for myself 3 days in a row, I would starve. Because yes, I can do bacon and eggs one day, and then bacon and sausage the next day, bacon and ham the next day, and then what? I cannot cook. Now, as a woman, as a Jamaican, where everybody on the island can cook, I'm like the only one. Oh, yeah. So the holidays for me are really a tough time, because you know how families get together and everybody brings over the favorite dish that they're known for? Not me. Mm-mm. I bring over the plates, the silverware, the napkins, or the drinks. And they always call me at the last minute and say, CeCe, bring the ice. So when I walk into a family gathering, I immediately start to feel inadequate and insecure because all the women are there in the kitchen cooking. Can anybody relate? Something as simple as cooking. But how does that feel when you're in a professional setting? Yeah, you feel like you don't belong. You may feel like you're too tall or too short, or maybe you feel like you were the token, meaning they just gave you a chance or gave you the opportunity to be there to fill a quota. That must really play havoc with somebody's ego, with their self-esteem. And even something like what Shawn and Christine just talked about with trying to be a speaker. You get on stage and all of a sudden you're looking out at all these people who expect you to say something brilliant, and you're just talking about something that you're uniquely qualified to speak about. And then you start wondering like, oh, I didn't finish college. Maybe I gained a couple pounds. Maybe I lost a couple pounds. And then the insecurity starts playing with your mind. And that's when Christine and Shawn was saying that sometimes as a speaker, you may forget your words, forget what you were going to say. You may fumble. You may start doing the ring thing. You might start doing the fig leaf. You might put your hands behind your back. You don't know what to do. Well, I've got some tips for you. Some things that I'd like you to just write down and start to go over them in your mind when you start to feel those feelings. So here goes. First of all, I want you to acknowledge that you have an imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome are just feelings. Acknowledge them. Just like you would acknowledge happiness or sadness or anger. Just acknowledge it. Okay, this is imposter syndrome. Then I want you to understand or reason out what is the root cause. You may be feeling a little insecure. You may be just be in an unfamiliar setting. Or maybe like me, you just can't cook. It's just a fact. I want you to separate the facts from the feelings. So one of the things I didn't do, which Christine mentioned, was I actually just made a mistake. I don't even know if you noticed, but I said I was going to give you some tips, and I just started rattling them off. I didn't say tip number 1 was to acknowledge your feelings. I didn't say tip number 2 was to understand the root cause. And I didn't say focus on the facts, not the feelings. But there you have it. 1, 2, and 3. The 4th point that I would give you is take a breath and ask yourself, if you stay in those feelings of imposter syndrome, does it help you or does it hurt you? And only you can decide that. My guess is it's probably going to hinder you. Tip number 5, I want you to start reframing your thoughts. And know that at least 70% of your audience, of the people that you're speaking to, have the same feelings. So while you may think that, hey, your hair is curly or you're short, there's somebody out there thinking like, oh my goodness, I'm so tall, my hair is straight. Take a breath. Reframe your thoughts. And this may not be a tip per se, but I want you to be kind to yourself. If somebody else was treating your child or your inner child, the way you're treating yourself, would you be mad at them? Would you say, stop, leave them alone? You would. Be kind to yourself. Be gentle. Take that deep breath and know that you are smart enough. You are qualified. You are talented to be right where you are. And guess what? Nobody is going to jump out at you and say, you're a fake. Imposter syndrome, it's just what it is. It's just a feeling, but it's not a fact. Back to you. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. Oh my goodness, this was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
That was absolutely fabulous. I think we all have that syndrome, and our mindset gets us through. I mean, Shawn, you had that when you started, right?
And I still have it. And just like CeCe said, we still have it. We learn to manage as we grow and develop as speakers. And we learn to understand what that is. And like I said, it helps us to identify with ourselves. What she spoke was so beautifully. It's the self-talk, because we have a lot of self-talk to ourselves that is negative. Mm-hmm. And we have to talk to that negativity and channel that out. We have to channel it out, because
that's what I was going to ask CeCe. You were absolutely correct, Coach Shawn, and I love what you bring to the table. CeCe, you were speaking as if it was just you and me in a room and answering like if we were having a conversation. Did you pick that up, Shawn?
I did, and I'm going to tell you how this is. I had a few tips, but thank you for doing that, CeCe, because the microcosm of speaking is when we speak to an audience, the microcosm is just the zeros that are added on. You find that one person and you speak to that section. And CeCe did that so wonderful. I was just sitting here and I was evaluating you too, CeCe. Don't think you was getting off. I was evaluating. But if you really observed her, you saw the pause. You saw the way she used the pause, her speaking. You were able to understand every word that she said, and it came off very effective. I was just blown away. I've heard CeCe speak, but this one was like it catapulted all the others. It surpassed all the others. I mean, she did it beautifully. You would have thought that she was really speaking to a large audience, because that's the way. And I also like the way she said, I separated the facts from the feeling. I felt that, and that was personal. When she said that, it was just, I was drawn in, and I just love it, CeCe.
And then when she got a little quieter, I'm like, what? Come on, tell me. Okay, CeCe, you've been on 2 TEDx stages speaking. What's your experience with your first one and how you felt compared to your second one? Now you're seasoned, right? And now you're going on another one, I think, in just a bit. So let's talk about your transition.
Well, all I can say is Toastmasters. Toastmasters. I joined Toastmasters in 2016, and for me, it helped me immensely in learning the speaking techniques that you talked about, Shawn. What to do when you make a mistake, how to stand, how to use your body language, where to look instead of looking all over. Some people, if they make a mistake, they're looking for the answers from above. The answer's not coming down that quick. It might come, but it's not going to come as quick as you need it. look at your audience, learn to read your audience. And so that's what I can attribute my success to. So yes.
That is excellent. Well, Coach Shawn, let's just give
Well,
your
I've
overview.
seen one where someone was speaking and they even closed their eyes. So that's a new one. I didn't throw that one in the eye contact, but I understand, like you explained, CeCe, the imposter syndrome, because you feel like you're not worthy. I remember I had that same feeling when I first came to Toastmasters. It was very daunting because I was looking at everybody's education instead of looking at them as human beings. And once I understood that part, I catapulted to the top, and I developed that courage and that confidence to where everybody's just like me, and we all are human. We're all here for the same purpose, and that is to become better speakers. By doing that, we become leaders, and leaders show up, and that's something I never shied away from.
Right.
I had a comment. We have a guest that's watching, and Andy BERN, Dr. Andy BERN, he's mentioned if you type on Google self-talk, you will be led to workshop sheets and evaluations. So you can be doing that in the process. I have a quick question for you, CeCe. When you're preparing for TEDx compared to a Toastmasters, how much time do you put into that to narrow it down to just a few minutes? I mean, that's like an international contest level plus some.
To prepare for a TEDx speech takes months, because they have a process that they want you to go through. So first you apply, and you have a title and a synopsis of your speech. Once they go through all the applications and then they select yours, then you have to start developing a story. See, TEDx is all about stories and spreading an idea that will help a certain group of people solve a particular problem that you are uniquely qualified to present. And somewhere in there has to be a story. So you have to flush it out. You get a coach. You go through multiple rehearsals, and they start telling you what was good or what was bad. So the process literally can take months. Versus you just show up, give a Toastmaster speech, and everybody loves you in your club. But of course, that is a little bit more, involved than what I'm just saying. But Toastmasters, you're not going to die if you don't give a good Toastmaster speech. But if you don't give a good TEDx speech, it is on YouTube forever. So lots of practice.
All right. Big hand. Everyone raise your hand if you just last minute did a speech on Toastmaster with no plans, just on topic, because you had to. What do you call that? Impromptu.
Pocket speech.
Right, yes.
Impromptu, and you just extend it out. Very, very good.
Right.
But I would like to say something what CeCe said, which was so profound. And when you're able to manage what I'm about to say, and when you deliver that pocket speech, you can bring that pocket, you can present that pocket speech and bring it to life. Because as presenters, that's what we want to hear, and we also want to see.
Right.
So when you can put those two together, that's amazing. Because not only is your audience hearing you, but they are seeing you, and you're putting them in a place in your life where they were never there, but you told the story so vividly, they felt like they went through that process with you. And that, what I'm talking about, is facts and feeling. When you're able to deliver the facts and invoke the feelings, you have done your job, my friend.
I'm bringing over our buddy. Go ahead, Cece.
So can I just say one quick thing? So
Yeah.
when I did my first TEDx speech, it was called Second Chances. Everybody gets a second chance.
Mhm.
And so for those in the audience who don't know, I have a criminal history pass. You know, I'm an ex-offender. I go to do my first TEDx speech, and my coach was from the Midwest. Now, I live in South Florida. My coach was from the Midwest, and a Caucasian woman, absolutely wonderful. But she did not understand the term recidivism, all right? Which in my community, being an ex-offender, I knew what that meant. And so that's basically when people, it's that revolving door of going back to prison. You come out, you go back, you come out, you go back.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I, you know, just rattled that off in a speech, she was like, no, that's absolutely not true. And I was like, what do you mean? I said, everybody, you know, knows that. And she goes, no. I had to then go back and research and pull facts and figures. And the figure that I pulled was from a 2012 Department of Justice survey that said 1 out of every 3 Americans has a criminal history pass. And what does that mean? It means that if you've ever been arrested by the police, sat in the back of a police car, there is documentation on that. And so what it caused me to do was really explain in terms that she could understand what recidivism is. And so that's the difference between like a TEDx and say a Toastmaster. You really have to fact check yourself and explain it in such a way that anybody, it's universal, that anybody can understand it. And it's not just localized, you know, to say, hey, you know, East Miramar, Florida, where I live, you know, everybody has to be able to understand it. So
I love that. I love the fact that the coach is your checkpoint to make sure. Yeah, that's way cool. I brought Andy over because as a fellow Toastmaster of many, many years, and he's going on his 3rd DTM, I wanted to have you come on and give us your evaluation of CeCe speech that she gave you. He's going to
wait. Had I known I was really going to be evaluated, I might have prepared it a little bit.
No, we're on your side, Cece. It was fabulous. That's what I know he's gonna say those kind of things. Well, welcome, Andy.
Welcome, Christine. And of course, welcome, Cece. I did not know I was doing a formal evaluation for you. So,
Impromptu. I'm just checking the pros out, right?
first off, I like your background. It's not distracting. It's very soothing. It brings you in. My background that I just put up can be distracting because there's movement taking place. So we recommend for people when they're doing a program to, unless it's specifically related to what they're talking about, if I was doing astronomy and talking about the latest discoveries of 5,000 planets by the New Wells telescope, this might be appropriate. So that the thing is you, just as we tell our Toastmasters, you want to have your background reflect your speech. We want your title to reflect your speech. We want everything to be in sync, and that's just makes things good. If I was talking politics, I might want to just put myself in front of Washington, D.C. during the springtime. There are different things that we can do. But to focus on you, and I have some nice pictures I took off the screen. You have a warm smile. You have facial expressions as well as hand movements that accentuate what you're saying. Bring people in, make it a warm interaction with your audience. And when you come look at that camera, you come close by and we see that you're there. So I still have challenges with that because my camera is across my desk and I have to have it high enough up so that it doesn't show all my papers all over the place. But I try to look at the camera and give you that sense of being there and being present. But you do a great job. And you made an important point with the word recidivism. A lot of times we talk to people and we use the word jargon, because if we're talking about different things, we assume that people have the same level of knowledge that we have. And most of the time, that's not true at all. Most people, when they talk about commercials, you do a commercial at a person at fourth grade level. And that's a scary thing, but that's what they say because most people are not functioning, are not higher functioning individuals. And when you're giving information, you really have to build on the fact of building the pyramid, laying the foundation, and then going up and up and up and up, so that in the end, you do a visual word picture and explain everything that you're talking about. And if you don't, then people get lost. And when they're lost, their mind tends to wander, because they say that ADD is all over the place. And it's true that people don't have great concentration. I think the last study that I reviewed, that the average concentration for someone in the United States, particularly when they're online, is about 9 seconds. That's horrifying. 9 seconds is what the average person has a concentration of. It's hard to get through when you only have 9 seconds. You can count it out. 1, 2, 3, and count to 10 to 9 and find out that they're gone after that. So what can you do to engage people, particularly on Zoom, so that they're engaged and listening to what you have to say? Some people use the technique of, by the way, there's going to be a quiz at the end of this speech to see how much you really absorbed.
That's a good.
And then be prepared to do that. And the technique of engagement for that would be using things like Vivox or Miramar, Meter, the one that's available from Zoom. There are a number.
I was just curious, before you go on, did you see her TEDx talk, CeCe's TEDx talk online?
I did. If you remember way back, CeCe, you were doing TLIs, and one of your TLIs was the TEDx talk. And of course, I wanted to know how well you knew your subject matter, so I watched your TEDx talk. One TEDx talk I recommend to everybody is Amy Cuddy's talk. Amy Cuddy is a psychologist from Harvard, and she does a talk about body language and the importance of body language in delivering your message. TEDx has a lot of really interesting talks that recommend to everybody, because it really allows you to go in depth on specific topics that are important. The most important thing in Toastmasters, as in regular life, is you cannot be spoon-fed. You have to be able to dig deep on your own. And that's a quality that is very hard to find. It's very hard to instill in members of your club the importance of being able to dig deep for yourself to get what you want.
That's excellent advice. I was going to ask Shawn. Shawn, did you see CeCe's TEDx talk?
No, but I've seen CeCe give that in Miami. I did see her speak in a competition where she was fatigued out in her Marine outfit. So I did see her speak in person. And that was probably one of the last times we were in person post-COVID. And CeCe, she did an amazing job that day. So
that is excellent. I'm going to send you her link to her talk, TEDx talk. So how would, if anyone was just watching this, to get on because I can't type in the chat because they're going to see the recording. So what's the easiest way for them to see your TEDx talk? Just put in Google and put CeCe TEDx.
Excuse me. Actually, the best way to see my TEDx talk is to go to YouTube and type in my name. And my name is CeCe, CeCe, and then my last name is Espeut. As soon as you type that in, it will come right up. And hang on 1 second. Sorry, I had that tickle in my throat.
What happened to your arm?
Shawn had to cover
What
for
happened to
me.
your arm, CeCe?
You know, talking about not being able to cook, I sprained my thumb on Thanksgiving weekend. I don't know. Maybe I was trying to pick up a turkey or something. I don't know. I told you I'm no good in the kitchen. And so I just have this brace on when I'm not talking. So I didn't want to, it's not part of the speech.
That's a good idea. Wear a brace so no one asks you to do anything.
You know,
That's
you
cool.
know, then you won't even realize that I can't cook.
That's cool.
CeCe, one recommendation.
Yes.
All right. In your either top right-hand corner, as I'm looking at you, it's the right side, would be to put a QR. It takes you directly to your TEDx talk. And that way,
Cool
people that
idea.
are
Hello.
people that are
Hello,
watching.
I'm going to write that down.
Okay.
We're
You can give
gonna
me
do that
credit
for
for
you
it.
too, Shawn. Yeah.
There you go.
That way you don't have to worry when you're doing a webinar of people being able to get to your site because you have it right behind you on your screen. Small tip, small tip.
Those are good tips. Wow, we got to do that. So Andy, where's yours?
Where's my what?
Your QR
my
code.
QR. Your QR takes you to one spot, and I wouldn't know which one to send you to. Because
No.
a lot of stuff.
Oh, okay. Getting totally off center. Okay, this happens when we get in a group here, but it's good. Andy's a doctor. Okay, so what is the one thing a person needs to remember when they have their knee replaced? I know it's random, CeCe, but that's happening to me next week. So I just need it real quick. I got the doctor right here. Okay.
Okay. The one thing that you should be thinking about is following instructions. Know that they're probably going to put you on an anticoagulant, which means that you're going to bleed more or potentially bleed more. Don't fall. Don't be too advanced in your walking. If they recommend a cane, don't use a cane, use a walker. A cane has no stability in it. You put your hand out on a cane and you can go like that, and boom, you're gone over to the end. And then not only do you have a knee replacement, but then you'll need a hip replacement. So when you get done and you're beginning to ambulate, use something that is supportive like a full walker. And I know that so many of my patients said, oh, I'll just use a cane. And before you know it, boom, they go over and they break something else. And you want something that you can support, use both arms, and you know where you're going. You can see forward and take it a step at a time. When you're stronger, then you can do other things. But just remember, in your rehab, they don't put you on a rehab with only one armrest on that treadmill or walking platform. You have two things to hold you up. So in your case, I don't know how much holding you're going to do with that one bum arm. Oh, that's CeCe. Never mind.
Oh, you can talk about CeCe next. Ask him. He's a doctor.
But the important thing is that you want to have balance and support.
Yes.
And you want to make sure that you don't injure yourself. You have to pay attention to what you're doing. So many people that I know, particularly in my age group now, I never thought I'd be in this age group, but in this age group, the one thing that people do all the time is they injure themselves in parking lots because you have the stanchion separating the cars. And they're looking forward, they're not looking down. And because they're not looking down, they don't see the parking separation, the parking stanchion things, and they trip over them and they go straight down their face or they break their arm. That's very, very common in South Florida and actually all over the place. So those are things that they need to pay attention. I'm always looking not only forward, but I'm looking down. And there's a great benefits to looking down. One, you don't trip over things. And two, you pick up a whole bunch of money that is left on the ground that nobody else had seen because nobody's looking down.
There you go. Now, this is a prime example of someone who is very prepared to give a speech impromptu. He knows his stuff. Cece knows her stuff. Shawn knows his stuff. So that's how it works. Anyone watching? See, I just did a demo, right? We all did.
And Andy, you're right. I found a lot of money on the ground.
So with that, we're at the end of our show. I just wanted to say, Cece, you are fabulous. Everything you do is always above and beyond, over the top. And it's awesome. We definitely will have you back. And I appreciate that. Andy, we're glad you came aboard to give us some QR code tips. That was awesome. And of course, about my knee. But I had to get it somehow because you are a busy guy. The only way I can talk to you is on 9 at night. So I had to bring him on. Shawn, my co-host, excellent tips that you gave at the beginning. I love it. Many new people, they have fears. And it is something where it's good to laugh, be jovial. Cece said, I made a mistake just now. She talked us through it and taught us how to correct it. Perfect example. So with that, I'm going to have each of you say something about tonight, about anything, and we got to call it good. Shawn.
Okay, I just want to thank Cece for coming on the show this evening. Great words, great way to give us that reassurance of speaking to ourselves. I mean, to get rid of all that self-doubt when you're feeling that imposter syndrome that you spoke about. She used just great, vivid language. Great. She always had a smile. She used a pause. It was just an amazing time being here with her. She hasn't stopped laughing yet. I mean, and to bring that experience of TEDx to 9 at Night, what an amazing feat. And I also want to say thank you, Dr. Burns, for showing up. One thing about Andy, he's always going to show up, and that is leadership qualities that we all can learn through communicating. You too, Christine, thank you for always being here on Monday night, assisting me, and we're developing and we're growing and we're building something special. And lastly, I want to just say to myself, thank you. It's an honor to be here and serve other speakers, because that's where the true pleasure and one truly learns and develops is in the act of service, when you're giving an extension of yourself to one another. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Dr. BERN.
Thank you for bringing me up and promoting me to a panelist so I could see everybody and you can see me. I enjoyed participating, as you know, because you're in our club, 2 online presenters. That goes until 9 o'clock, sometimes a little bit longer. I was doing some educational training after the meeting ended and be able to jump on with you because I wanted to catch my friend CeCe Espeut. And we had a working relationship when I was the club growth director for District 47, and she did a fantastic job training all our coaches, and the clubs were more successful because of her involvement. So she's got a great deal to share, and she's very active in D47 this year, and I learn a lot from her all the time. She's an absolute joy to work with.
Excellent. Bravo. Okay. our superstar guest, CeCe.
So, Dr. BERN, I want to tell you your check is in the mail. Thank you very much for all of that. And it's such a pleasure. It was such a pleasure to be here tonight. And it was, oh my goodness, such a big surprise to see you, Dr. BERN, because yes, I actually worked for Dr. BERN when he was the Club Growth Director in District 47 of Toastmasters. I was the Club Coach Chair. And together, we helped well over 100 members become Distinguished Toastmasters. We were rocking. Sometimes we butted heads, but hey, it was all love. And yes, so that is our claim to fame. It was really wonderful to see you tonight, Dr. BERN. And Christine and Shawn, thank you so much for inviting me on the show. It was, wow, it's just been a great Monday night for me. Heck, it's almost like Monday Night Football. I had a great time. I had a great time on 9 at Night. So thank you. And invite me back. I want to come back. This is fun. So thank you to both of you.
You bet. We definitely will. Moving on, we just want to say thanks for all those that are watching this and those that will watch the future recording. The question is, are you ready to be a speaker? We always have tips. You can watch all of the podcast recordings on 9atnight.com. And that's where you can go to podcast page and you can see all these tips, listen to them, Coach Shawn and myself, and our many incredible speakers that come on. So let's get that ready, get that on your vision board, and let's make that happen. Thank you all for definitely coming to see us. I want to have Shawn tell us about motivating future leaders.
And thank you, Christine. Yes, motivating future leaders. I go by the acronym MFL. This is a program. It's a youth enrichment program where I bring youth in and I teach them how to become presenters. I teach them 10 principles that they can apply to their lives. This is so amazing. And becoming a presenter, which will help them to minimize some of the issues that they struggle with amongst their peers. But not just amongst their peers, but I want to bridge the gap between the youth and their parents, because this will give them an opportunity to open up and share with each other and build a community of which we're striving to do. I am requesting volunteers. I am looking for sponsors. I've just got the date where we will be kicking off. It is January 10th. I will have more details, but I could be reached at 954-818-2299. Again, 954-818-2299. I'm excited, getting ready to work with these kids in the new year, and I'm going to need all the help that I can. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent cause, and excellent way. If you're in the South Florida in person, you can definitely get a hold of Shawn, and we'll have that QR code up. I want to say thanks, everybody. It's 9atnight.com, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every weekday night. And we will see you on the next show. Thank you.